Mason.
What the?
Bias,
Oh no. Open your door. No, I don't need this. I don't need any more books. Ignore them. Just ignore them. Ignore them. You don't need any more books. You don't need any more books. There's so many in your library. You don't need any more. Shut up. Just stop it. Stop it. I don't need any more books. I'm going to have no money left. Shut up. Oh, I give in. Hello everyone, Mason here. How are you doing? Today it's time for a book haul. Now I've talked about my borderline addiction to Audible's daily deals at least a few times on this channel. Unfortunately for me, last week was the daily deal throwback sale, which lasted an entire week and was filled with books they've used for daily deals in the past, meaning they were all super cheap. Despite the fact that there's plenty of books in my library that need reading, I can't resist a bargain. My willpower crumbled, I opened my wallet, and I purchased a few. I've never had the chance to make a book haul video before. I thought now would be a good time. So let's run through everything I bought and see what they're all about. Starting off with Verity by Colleen Hoover. I nearly said Hooper, which is why that went wrong. Starting off with Verity by Colleen Hoover. This one has a 4.3 average rating on Goodreads, which is a good sign. I tend not to fully agree with the Goodreads rating, but at the same time it means it's probably not totally awful at least. Lowen Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete a successful series of books that his injured wife cannot finish. When Lowen arrives at the Crawford home, she begins to search through Verity's notes, but what she's not expecting to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography that Verity didn't intend for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of what really happened the day that her daughter died. Lowen initially keeps the manuscript hidden, knowing that it could devastate an already grieving father. But as her feelings for Jeremy intensify, she begins to realise how much she could benefit from Jeremy reading his wife's words. After all, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to keep loving her. Okay, this one sounds interesting. It does sound like there'll be a lot of drama though. I love the fact that it says page after page of bone-chilling admissions, which makes it sound like Verity's going to be a murderer. The main character is like, murder? No, I'll hide it from Jeremy, don't want to devastate him. But then she presumably falls in love with him and is like, never mind. Turning in a murderer? Getting justice? That's not important. Getting in Jeremy's pants though, that's top priority. My prediction for this is that there'll be parts that I really like and other parts that I don't and I have massive problems with. That'll make for a fun review though, and in the end, it's all that really matters. Next up is The Silent Child by Sarah A. Denzel. This one centres around a woman named Emma. In 2006, Emma's son Aidan wandered away from his school during a terrible flood. His coat was later fished out of the river Ouse and he was presumed dead. 10 years later, Emma is married, pregnant and in control of her life. But then Aidan returns. Her son wasn't dead, he was taken, and now he's not speaking a word. Only his history of broken bones and other injuries tell the terrible story of what he's been through in the last decade. Emma is determined to unmask the monster that took her child. But who in her small village could be capable of such a heinous crime? I'm not particularly sure what to say about this one. It's always hard to predict how you're going to feel about a psychological thriller because it's so hard to tell where they're going to go. It's got a 4.02 average rating on Goodreads, which is surprising to me. I think it sounds more interesting than Verity. It seems really intriguing, but also like there'll be some really hard-hitting emotional stuff. All I'm saying is, Aiden better have some sort of birthmark on his face or something, because without solid proof I know that I won't believe that it's actually him, and I'll spend the entire time assuming that's the twist. The next one on the list is Hell Bay by Kate Rhodes. This one is the start of a detective series. It centres around a detective inspector who worked for the murder squad in London for 10 years, but a tragic event has left him grief-stricken. After trying to resign from his job, his boss has given him 3 months to reconsider, during which time he's planning to work in his uncle's boatyard on the island where he was born. However, this attempt at a peaceful getaway goes wrong when the body of a 16-year-old girl washes up. It's obvious that the killer must still be on the island because no ferries have left due to a massive 2-day-long storm. Dark secrets are about to be exposed. Everybody on the island is a suspect, and the killer could strike again at any time. Coming in at a 3.99 average rating on Goodreads, I honestly feel like this one could go either way, but it'd have to be truly awful for it to not be worth the couple of quid that I spent on it. To be honest, the main reason I picked this one up is that I already own the second book in the series, Ruined Beach, because that was a daily deal at some point. I've just been waiting for the first one in the series to go on sale. I do like the idea of the setting though. I don't know how big Briar Island is, but if it's small enough that everyone on there is a suspect, I think that could be pretty cool. Knowing that the killer has to still be there could lead to some tense, claustrophobic, investigative work. I do hope it's a good one though, because it'd be nice to have another detective series to dive into, especially now that I'm running out of Tom Douglas ones. Moving on, the next one is Our House by Louise Candlish. This centres around a woman named Fiona who comes home to find strangers moving into her house, which she hasn't sold. This leads to a domino effect of crimes and misdemeanours. Fiona has a bird's nest custody agreement with her estranged husband, Bram. Each parent spends a few nights a week with the children at the family home, but now Bram and the children have gone missing. Fiona is about to uncover all the lies that Bram has been weaving and learn that she never really knew him at all, but he's not the only one with secrets. Even though I don't tend to completely agree with the Goodreads ratings, 3.6 is bloody low. I like the sound of this one for some reason. It seems to have certain similarities with Sleep Tight by Rachel Abbott, which I read earlier this year and enjoyed a lot. Whilst I'm not going to be swayed by that low rating, I'll definitely make sure that I keep my expectations in check when I go into it. My guess is that Fiona is going to be a ghost and she just doesn't realise she's dead yet. Elizabeth is Missing by Emma Healy is the next one on the list. As an elderly woman named Maud descends into dementia and slowly loses her memory, she remains convinced that her best friend Elizabeth is missing and in terrible danger. But nobody will listen to Maud, and so armed with handwritten notes that she leaves for herself and a determination to uncover the truth and save her friend, she sets out to solve the mystery. However, the clues that she finds lead her to another mystery. The tragic disappearance of Maud's sister Suki, who vanished shortly after World War II. As memories of this tragic incident come flooding back, can the mystery of Suki's disappearance hold the key to saving Elizabeth? This one only has a 3.7 average rating, which I find shocking, to be honest, because I think it sounds like it could be amazing. It just sounds unique, unlike anything that I've ever read before. I like the sound of the mystery, but to be honest, it also just sounds like it could be a hard-hitting emotional read. I still haven't read anything that's made me cry this year, but I think this one could definitely do it. I love the idea that the main character, despite losing all of her memories, just clings to this sense of friendship and the belief that her best friend is in danger. It's going to be incredibly annoying that everyone just writes her off as being crazy, but also sort of beautiful that she's so determined to save her friend. Next is The House of New Beginnings by Lucy Diamond. This one has a frankly complicated description that I'm struggling to memorise. I've been doing this for a few hours now and my brain is slightly fried. Seems to be an uplifting contemporary novel about 3 different characters that move into a house in Brighton, each one looking for a new start. This one's got a 3.9 average rating, which isn't the best but isn't the worst either. I've noticed that contemporaries don't tend to get the highest ratings. To be honest, I'm always up for an easy contemporary read though, especially when it's labelled as uplifting, because so much of the stuff that I read is just dark and depressing. I like seeing characters forming friendships, and that seems to be what this one is about, so I think it could be quite good. Sweet Little Lies by Kaz Freer is up next. Kicking off another detective series, this one focuses on Detective Constable Kat Kinsella. No idea if that's actually how you pronounce her name, but it's how Talkback says it, so don't get mad at me if it's wrong. Kat overcame a troubled childhood and rose to the rank of Detective Constable, but things are about to get strange. A woman is found strangled right near the pub that is run by Kat's estranged father. Initially, the police suspect the woman's husband, but then a mysterious phone call connects this woman to the disappearance of a girl named Mary Ann Doyle. Kat actually knows who Mary Ann Doyle is because years before she met her on holiday, right before she disappeared. Kat knows that her father isn't telling the truth about the events that took place around that time, and now she suspects that he's harbouring terrible secrets. Did her father make Mary Ann Doyle disappear? And is this strangled woman his latest victim? Whatever the truth is, Kat is determined to find it, whatever it takes, and whatever it costs. This one could be hit or miss if I'm honest. I'm getting serious vibes of Truth and Lies by Caroline Mitchell, which was one of my least favourite books this year, and with a 3.7 average rating, who knows, but I do like the concept. I feel like all too often we see fictional detectives trying to cover up the indiscretions of their family, and I really like the idea of the main character suspecting her father, trying to find the truth, even if that means that it turns out he's a murderer. It's definitely an intriguing concept, and whether it's good or bad will definitely depend on the execution. I've got another one by Sarah A. Denzel next, and this time it's One for Sorrow. Inside the high-security psychiatric facility Cromont Hospital, many violent offenders reside, but to nurse Leah Smith, they are patients first and foremost. When Leah is appointed as nurse to Isabel Fielding, she is determined to remain professional despite the terrible, violent crime that Isabel was convicted for. At 14 years old, Isabel was found covered in the blood of a 6-year-old child named Maisie Earnshaw, who was discovered face down in a duck pond. As Leah gets to know Isabel as a woman with a gentle nature that she could never see as a murderer, she begins to suspect that members of the Fielding family framed Isabel. Leah isn't the only one that believes Isabel is innocent, but is she allowing her own dark past to taint her judgment as she grows closer to her patient, or is an innocent woman being robbed of her childhood? This one sounds so interesting. I absolutely love the idea of a psychiatric hospital as a setting, although I do hope that they can approach it in an appropriate way and not make it feel gimmicky. I also love the concept of the main character believing that Isabel is innocent and us being left to wonder whether she's right or not. I feel like this one will have plenty of twists and turns, and I'll end up doing a lot of flip-flopping. She did it, she didn't do it, she did it, she didn't do it. I already want to know the answers, so I'm quite excited for this one, and it's got a 4.1 average rating, so that's promising too. There's a few freebies that I picked up thanks to my Audible membership, and I will get to them in a minute, but there's 2 more purchases that I want to quickly talk about. The first is You by Caroline Kepnes, which I'm not going to focus on because I feel like most people know what You is about. After reading If I Can't Have You by Charlotte Levin in September, I'm intrigued by You because I'm interested to see what the thematic differences between a male and a female stalker would be. The final purchase wasn't even a bargain, I bought it full price. Despite the fact that I've read the Lord of the Rings trilogy countless times over the last 20 years, when I saw that there was a new edition of The Fellowship of the Ring read by Andy Serkis, I couldn't resist. I know that Andy read The Hobbit and I want to get to that at some point, but I'm really excited by the fact that he seems to be reading the trilogy because it's going to be so awesome when he starts getting to the bits that feature Gollum heavily. It's going to be fanboy city for me. The first freebie is Deadly Games by Sally Rigby. DCI Whitney Walker is in trouble. She's been threatened with demotion if she screws up another case, so when a serial killer starts to murder young women at the local university, she knows this is her chance to redeem herself. Georgina Cavendish is a forensic psychologist, a teacher at the university. But when she finds one of her students murdered, she decides to step out from behind the desk and put her skills to the test. As the killer leads the police on a game of cat and mouse, Walker and Cavendish form an uneasy alliance, but will they be too late to stop the killer? This one's got a 4.1 average rating, so other people clearly liked it. I think it'll be another one that could go either way. If it's good, it'll be good. If it's bad, it'll be really bad. Whitney Walker, that's such a detective name though. I like the concept and I'm definitely interested to have a forensic psychologist character, but I do think that the interactions between Walker and Cavendish will probably be fairly annoying until they decide to actually get along. Next up is She Lies Close by Sharon Doering. 5-year-old Ava Boone has been missing for 6 months. There's been no leads and no arrests. Only one man is a suspect, and Grace Wright has just bought the house next door. She was hoping this would be a new start for her children, and a possible cure for her crippling insomnia, but she suddenly realises why this house came with a bargain price tag. Can she really be living next door to someone capable of kidnapping and murdering a child? Concerned for the safety of her children, Grace becomes determined to find the truth, and then a body is found. With a 3.5 average rating, my hopes for this one aren't that high, but it was free. Best case scenario, I really like it. Worst case scenario, I DNF it and didn't lose anything. Of course, there's always the possibility that I'll hate it and end up with an entertaining rant review. All I'm saying is, it's already a foregone conclusion. The guy that she's living next door to won't be the actual kidnapper, right? That's for sure. Finally, we've got The Daughter-in-Law by Nina Manning. Annie has always had an especially close relationship with her son, Ben. It's always been just the two of them. So when Ben brings home his new, beautiful, mysterious wife, Annie doesn't trust her. Who is this new woman that's taken her son away from her, and what secrets is she hiding? When Ben suddenly disappears, Annie and Daisy are left with just each other for company, and tension is rising. Annie will stop at nothing to uncover her daughter-in-law's secrets. Now this one only has a 3.69 average rating, but this is why I don't necessarily trust the ratings on Goodreads, because I read The Housemate by Nina Manning in September and that only has a 3.58 rating, and I really liked that one. I think this one sounds pretty fun, to be honest. I'm getting some serious Norma Bates crazy overprotective mother vibes, which probably means that the daughter will actually end up being the bad guy. Wow, that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, I'm not gonna lie. If you're still here, I'm well impressed with you. I'm really interested to hear if you've read any of the books on this list and what you thought of them. If you haven't read any of them, which one do you think sounds the most interesting? My question for today is this: if you could have any character as a teacher, who would it be and what would you learn from them? My answer for this would probably just be Sherlock. I would love to be able to do deductions, and whilst I could probably learn to do that in real life already, it wouldn't be to the level that Sherlock can do it. If you've enjoyed this video, the like and subscribe buttons are just sitting there, waiting to be pressed. Now press them, or I'll give you a terrible tattoo on your forehead. Only a temporary one, relax, I'm not a monster. If you want to get in touch, say hi and have a chat, you know where the comment section is, and the link to my Twitter can be found in the description. Thanks ever so much for spending time with me today, guys. Until next time, take care. For now I'm off, and you should have a good one!